Hey guys, Peck here. Last time we talked about how we can use bots to warm up, but how can we use them to improve our aim? Welcome to another episode of Peck Over and Out. Today we crank up the difficulty from our training bot routine using real hero bots. We'll highlight 5 DPS heroes warming up hit scan, projectile, tracking, and flicking aim. We'll focus on DPS heroes, but some techniques are still useful to tank and support players. Be sure to hang out to the end for some bonus support tips. First things first, let's set up our practice game mode. Use the code on screen or follow along manually while I explain the rules to this practice. First thing you'll notice is that it's not headshot only. We do that for a number of reasons. So we can practice comboing abilities, so we don't have to worry about bad reg, and headshot only is too unrealistic. Most likely you're not going to hit only headshots in a game, so let's not punish ourselves for it just yet. For those who find this routine a little bit too easy, you can crank up the difficulty by eventually setting this to headshot only. I really encourage you to try this without headshot only first, just to see what it feels like. Since I mentioned it, what is bad reg? Well, that's when you land a shot on your screen, but the server does not register or detect it. Headshot only games are generally more prone to this from my own experience, because they'll register those shots as neck or body shots. Why don't you just use blank software aim trainer? I want to get better at Overwatch, so I practice Overwatch. If I wanted to get better at aim trainer apps, I would practice on those. Anything that's not Overwatch is simply imitating Overwatch. Would you rather practice on fake Overwatch or real Overwatch? I consistently get over 80% accuracy on aim trainers. In fact, sometimes even 95, 98%. But in a real game, my accuracy is way less, ranging 40 to 60% for hit scan and 25 to 40% for projectile heroes. A lot of your aim comes from your movement, and you don't get to practice that in aim trainers. I have a minimum accuracy to hit for each hero before playing comp. My accuracy in game is usually 10 to 15% less than the bot warm-ups. These are guidelines for rules I follow when I practice. Make your own rules and share with us. Comment below. The first hero on our list is McCree, who is considered primarily a flick aim hero. Even though he's mostly flick aim, I start with a tracking drill to warm up my arms and practice control, as in not shooting. I feel that practicing control prevents me from firing willy-nilly before I've set up my shot. Do this for half a minute. Next we shoot heads. Don't worry about missing or hitting body shots. If you miss more than 2 in a row, slow down and go back to the tracking drill. When you feel ready, speed it back up, shoot heads. Distance-wise, I try to stay in the mid-range. This is where I play most of the time in a real game. You're also going to want to practice close and long range for close flicking and fall-off damage respectively. I try to get 60% accuracy or higher. Obviously, the higher the better. When I'm feeling really motivated, I try to get 75% or higher before moving on to the next hero. Alright, next on the list, Hanzo, also a primarily flick aim hero. I start by shooting from the low ground at a flat angle. Distance-wise, you can go for mid-range, long-range, or close-range shots. Primarily, Hanzo likes to fight in the mid-range, although he can also be effective at longer ranges since he has no damage fall-off. After practicing flat angle shots from the low ground, I like to move on top of something to practice low angle shots. Those are the shots from the high ground where you're aiming at a low angle to the ground. Since the bots can be hard to control, I don't bother trying to practice from low ground to high ground in this type of setting. Try to aim for heads as much as possible. Hanzo is one of the heroes in the game that has a one-shot kill potential for a lot of the heroes in the game. You can also practice peek shooting from behind walls. Use Sonic Arrow to help you reveal foes. Take cover and draw your bow. When it's ready, peek out, release, and take cover again. I aim for 40 to 50% accuracy or higher. Next up we have Soldier. He's primarily tracking aim hero with his primary fire, but his helix rocket is primarily flick due to the fact that it is a projectile. Due to Soldier's recoil, we're going to practice firing in bursts of 4 to 6 shots. If you want to practice spraying a bit, you can practice spraying full on while pulling slightly down on the mouse to keep the recoil in check. Always aim at the head or neck. If you miss too much, slow down and do some tracking only practice, like the same thing that we did with McCree. Personally, I practice mostly hit scan tracking aim here, but if you're not used to Soldier's damage output, you could also practice using helix rockets to finish off targets. You can also practice using helix rockets to boop your enemies into the air and then get a headshot on them to finish them off. Distance-wise, I practice short, medium, and long ranges. I also practice flat angle shots as well as low angle shots from high ground. If you're practicing Helix Rocket, you can practice body shots and toe shots. Toe shots are where you shoot your enemy's feet to make sure you don't miss. This will do some splash damage even if you miss completely. For Soldier, I aim for 50 to 60% accuracy or higher. Due to his recoil, that can be challenging, so always keep your crosshair in check. Next up, we have Tracer. Tracer's primarily a tracking aim hero when she's shooting her primary fire, but she can use flick aim often for pulse bombs, 90-degree turns, and 180 blinks, and so on. Distance-wise, I practice super close range on Tracer because that's where she's most effective. I also practice mid-range to get an idea of her bullet spread and damage. At mid-range, I try to aim for center of mass because that's where most of my bullets will hit due to her wide spread. I also practice pulse bombing by getting really close to the bots and touching them when I pulse. I practice 180-degree blink turns and shooting. I practice 90-degree blink turns and shooting. And I practice blink meleeing on the bots. You can also practice melee recall. If there are any other combos on Tracer that you can think of that I didn't mention them, it's a good place to practice them. For Tracer, I try to get 50% accuracy or higher. Up next, we've got Genji. Genji is primarily a flick aim hero. When I practice Genji, I primarily practice mid to close range combat. To better train my aim for his primary and secondary fire, I start off by training them independently. Since the words primary and secondary are a mouthful, I'll replace them with main and fan fire respectively. I start off by practicing only main fire. Take as long as you want, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, whatever you have time for. When I feel good, I move on to fan fire for the same amount of time. You'll have to get really close to hit all your fan fire shots, so adjust your range appropriately. After that, I practice Genji's combos. Genji has a ton of combos. Since this guide isn't specific to Genji, I'm just going to quickly list the combos that I practice. If you're interested in a full Genji guide, let me know in the comments below. First is main headshot, then dash. Then main body, dash, 180, melee. Main body, dash, 180, fan. Dash to fan headshot. Dash melee. Fan headshot melee. Fan body melee. I practice using blade pretty much every time I get it. For Genji, I try to get 40 to 50% weapon accuracy. And now a word from our incumbent support consultant, Little Box.
Hi everyone, my name is Box and I am currently a Diamond support player. My current main is Mercy, and Peck requested me to add a few tips about what I do as a support player to warm up, so let's get right into that. So to start my warm-ups, I always launch this Mercy Super Jumping workshop made by Overwatch YouTuber Neandra. Code to the workshop will be on the screen right now, as well as in the description for you guys to check it out later. There are a lot of specific abilities and things you can do on this map, so to figure out the specifics, make sure you guys check out her video on her workshop. So to start off, I always make sure I remember how to super jump, since from day to day, the position of my hand on my keyboard or where my keyboard is on my desk can vary, and that really affects my gameplay. So I want to make sure that it's all good. So I practice super jumping on the Soldier, and I mess up a few times, or a lot of times, but that's the point of the warm-up, so you can mess up in the warm-up and not in the actual game. So I make sure I do that a few times, remember how to do it, and once I feel like I'm comfortable, I move on to the next part. So a good feature on this workshop is that you can kill your teammates, which makes a soul, so you can practice your super jump reses. And super jump reses are really important because it allows you to have some form of mobility while resing, so you're not just standing completely still. So res and Q, which happens to be my ultimate button, kills the soldiers, which lets it so that you can fly to their bodies and perform the super jump res.
This is not the end.
I like to do this a few times to make sure I've gotten the hang of that as well. At the top left, there's a really neat feature that counts your height, and super jump res's max height is 5 meters, so I want to make sure that I never go past that. Unfortunately, that isn't in the game, so I just gotta get the feel of it. And I messed up, but yeah, once I feel like I'm comfortable with that, I move on to the next step. The next process of my warm-up is to go in some sort of deathmatch or some sort of aim arena, some sort of aim practice area, and I practice my aim and movement against other players because while pistoling as Mercy shouldn't be the only thing you're doing in the game, it can be a reliable asset to your team as well to be able to kill off an enemy sniper. So I want to make sure that I can do that. Kind of rough when there's a Winston, but it is what it is. And once I'm feeling comfortable, then I'm ready to go into a competitive game and do my best. Thanks for watching and thanks for having me. If anyone's curious about my Mercy settings, those will be in the description as well, since I know it can get really confusing at times, but I hope that will help you guys, and catch you later.
Alright, and thank you, Box, for that wonderful breakdown of your Mercy warm-up. Alright, so guys, today we asked ourselves the question, how can we use bots to actually improve our aim? And I feel the real value in that comes from not needing to have a practice partner, right? So I don't need to worry about having a sparring partner who's always available to practice with me, who's, GM level or something way higher than me, right? You don't have to worry about other people being around to queue into for a regular free-for-all, or you don't have to worry about opening up a try-hard lobby or finding one that has enough space for you or enough people for you to practice with. That's kind of the reason why we go for this practice routine. Now, will this routine help you improve your aim? That's a question that I cannot answer. So what you guys have to do is you guys have to take this routine, give it a shot, and really try it, maybe for about a week or two, and see if you see any improvement in, in your aim and your gameplay. For me, it helped quite a bit, which I was surprised about at first, to be honest. I thought, what's the value of me going up against these bots? The bots are really easy and predictable and all that. Now, in my case, it did actually help tighten up my game mechanics, which is something that you're always going to have to improve on no matter what rank you get. Doesn't matter if you're bronze or GM or the top 1, right? You need to always be a step ahead of everybody else, and you always have to be constantly improving. So guys, give it a shot and let us know what you think. I hope these tips help you improve and gain some free SR. If you enjoy my stuff, like, share, and subscribe. How do you guys practice for comp? Leave your answer with any feedback, questions, or comments below. This is Peck. Over and out.